Hello and welcome to episode 7 of the How to Create an RPG Game in Godot 4. And today we're going to be, creating changing scenes smoothly in our RPG game. If you're not following along with this series and just clicked on this video for scene changing, then it is perfect because we're covering everything scene changing, so you can learn to implement scene changing and you can kind of copy this way to put it into your own game. But before we get started, I just want to ask if you could go down below and hit that subscribe button and drop a like on this video to help YouTube push this series to more inspiring game developers so they can learn to make their own Godot games as well. But let's get started with episode 7 and create smooth changing scenes. Okay, so before we even start with the scene changing, we need to make a little change here and add a little collision shape just so we can't walk off of the map, right? So to do this, we're gonna go and we're gonna add a static body 2D, and we'll just name this our collisions. This is like gonna be all the collisions that we have in our game, and then we can just add a collision polygon and we can trace out exactly where we want our collisions to be. So when we transfer over to the new area, right, we're gonna want it to be like up here. So we'll just leave a little gap, just like this. This will be our transfer point. So when we walk in here, then we want to be transferred to the new area or the new zone, right? But this all is just going to be so we can't walk off the edge of the map. So we can kind of just trace the entire map. Doesn't have to be perfect at all, but we can go down here, go to this corner, and then go all the way up, but we do not want to touch, right? Because if we touch, then it's going to close it, and then all of the inside is going to be the collision, which we don't want. So then we come and trace all the way back around, right? And then we can come down here like this, and then like that, and then now we have a big collision shape. So now our player theoretically cannot walk off of the map anymore, and it is working good, right? But we can walk off the map up here, right? So now that we can walk off the map up here, we need to, first of all, let's make some scripts, or let's make some variables in a global script. So if you don't already have a global script, you can create one. Just make a new script, go to project settings, and then auto load that script. And then so in our global script, we're gonna need a couple of different variables, right? So it's actually gonna be a decent amount of variables. So we're gonna make our current scene is equal to our world, right? Because when we first start the game, we want it to be equal to our world, and this can either be equal to world, or it can be equal to our cliffside, because that's gonna be our new scene. That's gonna be our second scene. And then we also need a variable for transition scenes. So if we're in the middle of transitioning scenes, right? So if we're in the middle of transitioning scenes, which when we start the game, that's going to be equal to false because we are not currently transitioning scenes, right? And then this is going to basically be stuff for the player, which we can actually add straight to the player. We'll actually put it in the global script, right? So we'll need our player exit cliffside position X, right? And currently we don't know that, so we'll figure this number out later. But we need a position X, and we need a position Y, and then we'll also copy these variables and we'll make player exit cliffside position Y, and then we'll have our player start position. So in our world, where's our player start position when we load up the game for the very first time, right? So this is just so when we exit the cliff, we don't go all the way back to the start position of the world. We actually just exit right outside the cliff gate, right? So we can remove this cliffside down here. So it's just player start position X, player start position Y, and then we have our player exit cliffside position, player exit cliffside position Y, and we will set these variables later, right? So now we need to make a new scene. So we'll go up here and we'll create a 2D scene, and we'll name this our cliffside. And I'm just gonna make this super basic, but we'll do that in a minute. Let's save the scene, and we'll save this to our scenes folder. And in cliffside, let's just make it to where our player can get transferred into this scene, right? So we'll go to our world, and up here we're gonna need a little area 2D. So if we go to our world and we add a area 2D, we can name this something like our cliff side, right? Our cliff side transition point or something like that, right? Because this, when we enter here, that's when we're going to want to transfer it into our cliff side. So now we can get a little collision shape 2D, and we can bring it over here, and we can kind of fill this area in. So basically, when our player enters this area, we are going to transfer scenes, right? So now we can go to our area 2D, we can go node, we can do body entered, and we can transfer that to the player script, and then we can also do body exited. Yeah, we're also going to need body exited. We're also going to need body exited. So we put both of these onto the player, and then when we get to the player in these scripts, first of all, we need to check if it's the player, so right, or if it's the player entering that zone. So we do if body.has. Wait. Hold up. I sent these to the, I sent these to the player script. That was a big mistake. Okay, so reverse that. Don't do what I just said. I'm going to disconnect these methods, and instead we're going to connect them to our world script, which we don't even have a world script. Okay, so we'll make a world GD, and then we'll go and then we will make these functions inside of the world GD, right? So first of all, when our body enters, when a body enters a point, any body in the game enters a point, first of all, we want to check if that body has the method, right? If that body has the method player, which the only thing in our entire game that has this method right here, function player, it's just a pass function, just so we can check it from other scripts, is our player. So if it has the function player, we know it's our player, right? So then we'll get our global dot transition scene equals true, right? Because now we want to transition scenes. But if that area is exited, which normally it's almost impossible, this is just like a little safety thing, because as soon as we enter, we're instantly transitioning scenes. So it's not really going to be able to, we're not going to have time to exit, right? So technically this right here does nothing, but we're gonna add it just for you know, safe keepings, or just for like in case something goes wrong somehow. But we have our transition scene equals false. Did I spell that right? Transition, no, I did not spell that right. Wait, no, I did spell that right. I didn't spell it right up here. Okay, whoa. We'll just go back. All right, so is that right? There's no, did I mess that up? TRANS. Okay, I messed it. Did I mess it up in the global script? Okay, so okay, I messed it up in the global script. So there's an I right there. I was confused there. So now if we go back to our world script, our world script, we have the I there, like it is supposed to be spelled. So now that this is all good, we need to go and we need to create a brand new function, and this is going to be our change scenes function. And this change scenes function, we're going to want to go if global dot transition scene is equal to true. Then we're going to want to go if global dot current scene. So basically we're going to check if the current scene is equal to world, which it should be equal to world, right? So if the current scene is equal to world, then we're going to want to go get tree. We'll just do a simple transition into the new scene, get tree, change scene to file, and then that file will be our world dot, or our cliffside.tscn. So cliffside.tscn, just like that. And then we'll do global dot, we're gonna have to call some type of function into our global script. So we'll just call it like finish changing scenes or something like that, right? Because we're gonna have to have this just so we can go through a little bit of stuff in our global function, so our cliffside can communicate with our world scene, if that makes sense. And then we also need to call our change scenes function and our process function. So change scenes, so that means we're always running this no matter what. So now if we go back to our global function, now we can make a little function in here. And the function that we're gonna have in our global is going to be the one that we just created, which I think we called finish change scenes, I think. Is that what we called it? Finish change scenes, yeah. So go to our global, finish change scenes, right? And then we'll just create this because this is a brand new function, and we'll basically say something like if transition scene is equal to true. So yeah, if our transition scene is equal to true, then we're going to want to make our transition scene equal to false, because that at this point we have transitioned, because we already called the transition function back in the world. And then we can say if our current scene is equal to world, which if we're coming from the world into the cliffside, our world or our current scene would be the world. So now we want to change the current scene to our cliffside, right? Because now we are in our cliffside. And then else, because we only have 2 scenes in the entire game, so basically we can't really do anything else because we only have 2 scenes. If you have more scenes, this is going to be a little bit different, but that is how we are going to do that for 2 scenes, right? So now we need to create some type of scene for the cliffside, but everything should technically work. So if we were to play the world and we were to walk up here, we do change scenes. We are now currently in the cliffside scene, but we have no way to go back, right? We are stuck here in the cliffside scene, and can't really do anything because we're stuck, right? So we need to go to our cliffside, and we need to make some type of level here so our player can walk around and our player can do things on the cliffside. So I'm going to create a quick tile map real fast, and I will be right back. Okay, so I basically just went into our player and I added a cliffside camera. I lined up the camera to kind of match our cliff side, right? So I just set the position to match the cliff side. And then in our player script, I made a new function, and I called this new function our current camera. So it basically goes to our global script. So if global.current scene equals world, then it's going to say our world camera is true and our cliffside camera is false. And then else, if our current scene is equal to our cliffside, then we want our world camera to equal false and our cliffside camera to equal true. And then obviously I called the current camera function in the physics process. And then, so if we play it now we have a better working camera. It's still not great, obviously, because I kind of rushed through it, but we do have a better working camera, and now we're kind of, we can at least see what we're doing in the scene, right? So when we walk under this and we walk right here, we want to be able to go back to the world scene. So how are we going to do that, right? So just like we did in the world, we're going to go to our cliffside and we're going to make the same kind of little area 2D. So we'll have an area 2D and we'll name this our cliff side exit point or something, right? Cliffside exit point. And then same way, we're going to need a collision shape 2D, and we can just make a little square. I don't know, it's going to be up here. It's going to be hidden under the Z index of our thing, because I made the cliffside a Z index of 2. So that means it's going to be over the top of everything else, which shouldn't really matter, right? So we'll just do something like this. As soon as we walk here into this box, then we are going to go back to the world. So We need to make a cliffside script, and then we need to go to our area 2D, and we need to get signals. So we need to get our body entered signal. We'll send it to our cliffside script, and we need our body exited symbol, and we'll send it to our cliffside script. And then, just kind of like we did in the world scene, we're gonna go like if body dot has method our player. So if it's our player, then we want our global dot transition scene to equal to true, because that means we are now about to transition. And then when we exit the scene, this you don't really need, like I said in the world scene, but we're going to add it just for safekeepings, right? So false. Now we're gonna need a new function down here, which is going to be kind of what we had in the world as well. So it's just gonna be called change scenes, and then if global dot transition scene is equal to true, then we're gonna go if global dot current scene is equal to our cliffside, because obviously we are going to we're in our cliffside right now, right? So we're in our cliffside. So basically this is just checking to make sure everything's working correctly. And then so basically if we're in our cliffside, we're gonna go get tree, and then dot change scene to file, and then we'll change it to our world.tscn, and then we'll go global dot finish change scenes, what we made earlier in the global script. And then now if we play the game, everything should work, but there is one flaw, right? So obviously this is our start position in the game, right? And if we go to the world and we come back, it doesn't work. So what is going on? What is wrong? Do we have a collision shape on our player? We do. Let's go to our cliffside scene. We'll go up here, and okay, so there it is. That's our issue. We're not calling the function anywhere. I was about to make a print statement, but we are not calling the function anywhere. So if we call it in our process function, we can actually remove all of this. But if we call it in our process function, and then we go and play, now this is our start position, obviously, and then we go up here, we enter into our cliffside area, and then when we go back in, we go back, but it does not work because we are now back at the start position, which is not good. We want to, come out, and we want to spawn like right here, right outside the door of the cliff. So to do that, to set the player's position based on when we go in and out, we are going to go to our global variable, right? All right, so first of all, we're gonna have to go to our global variable just so we can make the starting positions here. So, and we also need another variable. So we're gonna make one more variable real quick. I just thought about it. So we need basically var game first load in to see if it's like the first time we're in the game. So obviously when we start the game, it's gonna be equal to true. So we'll equal it to true. And then we need to set our position. So our player.start position, we can just go to our player right now, inspector, transform, and is he starting at, he's not starting at 0, 0, obviously. Okay, so if we go to our world scene, he's starting like we're down here. So if we go to our player, transition, or position 155 and then 108. So we'll just do, we'll go back to our global script and we'll just do, keep it simple, 155, 108. And then when we exit the cliffside, where do we want our player to be? Let's find out right now. So let's move our player. Let's say we want him to spawn like right here. That looks good. We're at 199 and 29. So we'll go back to our global script and we'll do 199 and then we'll do 29, right? So boom, that is set up correctly. Now we need to go to our, we'll go to our world scene, because obviously this is where we're going to be having to choose where the player is being spawned. And we'll go in our ready function. So in our ready function, this is every time we load into the game. So we'll say if global dot game first load in, which is the function we just made, is equal to true. Then we'll say our player dot position dot x is equal to our global dot player start position x, And we can copy this, and because it's going to be the exact same thing for the next line, except instead of X here and here, it's going to be Y. So player.position.y equals global.player start position Y, right? And then we'll say else. So basically, if it's not the first time we're loading into the game, then we're going to get our player.position.x equals global.player exit cliffside position.x. And then same thing like we did up there, we're going to copy this line, and instead of it being X here and X here, it's going to be Y. So that should all work. Actually, no, we need to go down here to our change scenes function. So we'll go down to our change scenes function, and we'll say, so if global.current, this is basically as soon as we switch scenes. So right after we swap scenes, then it's not the first time we load into the game, right? Because we need to change the position. So basically, first game, our global dot game first load in, game first load in is equal to false, right? So now if we play it, everything should work, right? We spawn here, we go up here, we go into our brand new scene, we come back down, and we are now spawned up here, right? Up, we spawn here, but then when we load the game, no matter where our player is on the area, so we could be like, have our player way up here now, and every time we play the game, we're going to spawn down here in our spawn position. But as soon as we go over here, we're no longer going to spawn in that position, and we're going to spawn up top. So thank you guys all so much for watching. I really do hope this video helped. If you need any help in Godot, you need any, you have any questions about how changing scenes works, how to add transition to the changing scenes, anything like that, let me know in the comments down below, and I will be for sure to get back to you very soon. I love to talk to y'all down there, and I love to help you guys out as well. So until next time, hit that subscribe button, drop a like on this video so more inspiring game developers can learn to make their own Godot games as well. But until next time, stay safe and have a wonderful day.